Victor Wembanyama is here, and he is here to stay. Look, before the season started in the preseason, I made the bold prediction that Victor Wembanyama would win MVP. He would be the best defensive player in the league and would be the best offensive player in the league by the end of the season. And look, I was wrong. He already is. Look, there is no debate on the defensive side of the ball. Even some of those counting stats like blocks and steals and points, field goal percentage, a lot of those stats are misleading because he's even better than what we look at on paper. People aren't even going into the paint. You see them driving to the paint and they do a U-turn. They're like, I'm not shooting on this guy. So he has gaudy block numbers, but they could be even more insane if people are willing to shoot on him and just go into the paint in general. So his defense, we don't even need to talk about him defensively. Offensively was the real question. Can he be a LeBron? Can he be a Kawhi? Can he be a Michael Jordan? Can he be a Kobe, where he's the best offensive player or one of the best, in that upper echelon, tier one of the scorers and passers and offensive creators, as well as being the best defensive player or one of the best defensive players? And it looks like he is. And it looks like he is. Now, the real question is, if you're not on board, you better get on board. That's the first thing. That's not a question. That's a demand. If you can't acknowledge that Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the NBA when healthy, I don't know what to tell you. He clearly is. Now, his health is a concern. That's obviously a concern. When you get that big, when you get that tall, you've got issues. And I don't really know if the blood clots are the height related. I don't know if when you get above 7 foot, you're more likely to have blood clots. I'm not really sure. But they do have a lot of lower body extremities when players get heavy or when they get very tall. With that being said, here is how I would stop Victor Wembanyama. So a lot of people would like to, they talk about him and they're like, man, we just need to put some big guys on him. We need to put some taller guys on him, because you see these clips of Victor being really athletic and agile and getting dunks and layups and in close mid-ranges and floaters, etc. And, well, he doesn't really shoot floaters. He just dunks the ball. But we see all these clips and people are, man, we just need bigger bodies. We need longer bodies. And I think that's the wrong approach. I'm going to get into a few different scenarios, but overall my game plan on how to stop this Spurs attack, because I think the Spurs are one of the teams in the NBA. I think they're on that echelon with the Thunder, with the Cavs, with those top teams. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Now, are they going to win the finals? I don't know. He's young. A lot of the guys on the team are young. I do think they're going to be a tier 1 team, and you don't want to play them in a 7-game series. So here's my game plan on how to stop them, both offensively as well as defensively. So first thing is force them to shoot the 3-ball. Look, Victor Wembanyama is an elite 3-point shooter. Elite for a center, for sure. But overall, this team, especially at the guard position, we've got De'Aaron Fox with a 33% 3-point percentage in his career. We've got Stephon Castle with a 28%, and those are two guards. So that causes some spacing issues if we force them to shoot the 3-ball. We've got Vassell, 37%, so he's a pretty good shooter. And Barnes at 38%, also a pretty good shooter. And Victor at 33%. So we've got 3 out of the 5 guys that are shooting below league average. And yeah, Vassell and Barnes, they're both shooting a little bit above average, but it's nothing insane. But here's the thing. If we average those out, we're going to get a tad below 34%. We get 33.9%. Let's round up to 34%. If we are forcing them hypothetically, and this isn't obviously how it's going to play out, but if we can force the Spurs when Victor's on the floor. Now, when Victor's off the floor, we can play defense normally and we don't have to have the strategy. But when Victor is on the floor, number one, we are going to have someone on him at all times. And that player, more importantly, a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to have a center picking up full court. No. Here's what I would do. And a lot of people are like, what? Why would you do that? I would have a 6'4" to 6'7" guy who's kind of strong but very agile, which most guards or shooting guards or small forwards are. I want to match up with his quickness. A lot of the times when Victor gets into the paint and gets these dunk opportunities or wide open shots, it's because he's quicker than these big men. Now, he's also longer, which helps, and he also has way longer legs, which helps. But more importantly, you see him just make these agile movements, and there's no one even near him. So that's the first thing, is I want to cause him some problems in terms of just easily being able to avoid these quicksand, stuck in the mud, 7-footers, 6'10"ers, 6'11"ers. These guys they're shorter than Victor, so they can't really, nobody in the NBA is going to just get up in his face and really cause the problems when he's shooting. But what we can do is we can get somebody that, from a quickness standpoint, and we need somebody a foot shorter than him, from a quickness standpoint, that agility-wise, we're going to force Victor to take 3 balls and mid-range shots. And honestly, look, Victor is an okay shooter, for a center. He's a good shooter. But if we can force Victor to shoot the ball, if we can force Fox to shoot the ball, if we can force Castle to shoot the ball, I am perfectly fine taking those three guys shooting, because at the end of the day, the NBA average for offenses is 112 points per 100 possessions. If you are shooting 34% from three, that's about 102 points per 100. So that's a below average offense. Now, something you need to take into factor is with this offense, which I'm, as you guys can see, the force to three ball method, is we are very focused on Victor. We've kind of got a funnel out there. We've got our two guards on the wing. We've got two sort of big men. They're smaller big men. But what we want to do is we want to get into a three-point shooting contest, because we've got our two big men, 6'8" to 6'11". So we don't have a true big. We don't have a 7-footer. And we've got three guards. But everybody on the floor needs to be able to shoot the three ball. We are going to get guys out in transition. We're going to have speed. We are this smaller team. And what we're going to do is all hands on deck. Victor is not getting in the paint. I don't care if it's on a screen, which we're going to get into some scenarios. I don't care if he's the screener. I don't care if he's getting a screen. He is not getting into the paint. He can shoot threes as much as he wants. He can shoot mid-range as much as he wants. There's nothing we can do about it. It doesn't matter if you get somebody that's a little bit longer on him. It doesn't matter if it's Kawhi Leonard. Victor Wembanyama can shoot the three ball whenever he wants. So we might as well hedge our bet and go in the other direction. And we force him. He will not score a point in the paint. We guarantee that. Everybody else can score. Everybody else can shoot threes. Everybody else, we can give the guards drives to the paint. That's fine. We're going to give up the three ball, and we're going to have our 5 best three-point shooters out on the floor. So we're going to get into a three-point contest. It might not be the most ideal form of basketball, duh. Obviously the fans were like, what is this, the Celtics? Okay, I get it. But we are going to shoot above 34%. Now, they might shoot above 34% because at the end of the day, when we are giving them open, we are going to, as you can see in the next couple defensive, if you want to call them that, schemes, is we're going to give up the corner three. Do you want the corner three? We're just going to hand it right to him. Do you want the corner three? Either of the guards. We'd be blessed if the guards are going to shoot corner threes all down us. But even Harrison Barnes and even any of the backup guys, Vassell, etc., he's not a backup, but any of the guys on the bench is like, yeah, we give you corner three. We'll give you the corner three. We're going to give you the corner three. We're going to get 4 guys in the paint. We're going to get the rebound, and we're going to get out in the transition. So that is my strategy. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. And we're going to force you to shoot a lot of threes, and we think we're better at shooting threes. Look, you can't play the paint game. You can't play a traditional basketball game when Victor's on offense and defense. So force the three ball is the strategy. Now, kind of the first scenario, which we'll get to, which I'll put up on the YouTube video, is the screen scenario. So Victor is going to be in black. He's at the top of the key, the primary ball handler, and he is getting a screen to his right, which would be your left, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. So we've got those 2 guys in the mid-paint. That's kind of my strategy is we've got those 2 guys in the mid-paint, because if Victor is able to drive on our guard, even though our guard should kind of be in his way and force him to shoot, but if they do drive, the main thing with Victor that you want is you want to kind of force him to pick up his dribble and do his move further out. Because what these guys do is they hang out right outside of that restricted area where you can still take charges, because you can't take charges right under the rim. So they hang out right outside that restricted area. Victor's so long, he doesn't need to really do a Euro step or do anything illegal. You're right outside it. He just, I just dunked. I did some crazy reverse dunk. So we need to force him to pick up earlier. Even if that means occasionally we get beat with a Hezier, occasionally we get beat bad, and there's no contest, that's fine. That's fine. We get beat early. So I've got those 2 guys further up into the mid-paint, even up into the high paint, and we've got those 2 guys that are kind of in that forward front court area. And yeah, so on this screen scenario, I have the guy going over the screen to keep up with Victor because we don't want to let him get a full head of steam. Even though, we've got the 2 guards. We've got the 2 guards blitzing the screen and forcing the pickup and kind of slowing down this offense. The main thing we want to do is we do not want Victor, even if there's 2 guys that are going to be double teaming him, we need someone touching him. We need someone forcing him to change directions. We need Victor to feel hassle. We need to have people in his face. We need to go over this screen. We need to have 2 people blitz the screen. What that's going to do is the screener can't get the ball because we blitzed the screen. Victor has to pick it up because we've got 3 defenders on 2 people, and one of the guys isn't even looking at the ball for a second. And Victor's running around the screen. So we force it out of Victor's hand, and you do obviously see in this specific offensive scenario they have I don't know what specific position this guy would be because it depends on who's where and who's setting the screen, if that's the power forward at the top of the key. But this is a small forward that's getting the ball around the free throw line. Look, I don't like giving up that shot. I don't like it. But if either of these two guys in the paint push up on that, then we give a backdoor dunk. So, we got to kind of stay home as long as we don't let into the paint. I guess I can settle for a deep two, outside the free throw line. But that would be my opinion in that scenario. Look, you don't have to blitz it maybe necessarily. You could just double Wemby and leave the screener open. That's an option. But I don't want to give Wemby. I want to give Wemby a hard time. I want to force him to work, especially being such a big athlete. He's going to get tired quickly, and we can send a lot of bodies at him and cause him a lot of duress. So that would be my plan on the Wemby as the ball handler, giving up the getting the screen. Now we have another scenario, and I'm going to put it up once again, and this is they're going to spread us out. And this is a very common scenario with Wemby because he can shoot, and they've got, guys that can shoot. Ideally, when you think about guards, you think they can shoot. Unfortunately for the Spurs, the people that can shoot for them are the forwards, so it's a little inverted. But here's to spread us out. Now they are going to be the X's. I messed this one up. I meant to put O's for the offense. Duh. But anyways, so Wemby is the bigger X. And yeah, look, I am going to have a man on Wemby. I'm still going to have those two guys kind of further up because if Wemby drives, I want to meet him early. I want to meet Wemby higher up in the paint. And I'm going to have those two guys kind of pinched in. And it might look a little, you're like, those two guards on the wing, are they really going to help out on defense? Look, Wemby's a long guy. He's agile, but with how long his strides are, you force him a little bit to the right, and then you've got help from the wing, force him a little bit to the left, and you've also got help on the wing. So those two defenders, number one, they're going to get in the cookie jar occasionally and maybe get a nice transition dunk if they jump those. But we're probably going to have, because of that situation, we've got those essentially three guys defending Wemby at the top. We're going to have that guy on the left side of this picture cutting. We've got one of our guys in the paint moving up. Then we've got the wing offensive player in the corner cutting. We've got the other guy. So it's essentially we're just going to keep rotating. We're never going to leave Wemby. There's never going to be a rotation where Wemby ends up open. We are going to stick on Wemby. We're going to hope for the three. The main goal of all of this is to hope for the three, preferably one of the guards. That's the perfect scenario, is one of the guards shoot the three because they're not great three-point shooters. Wemby can also shoot the three. He's not a great 33% for a center. It's okay. It's serviceable, but if that's your offense, we're looking pretty good. So yeah, I would just continuously rotate this, but keep somebody on Wemby and just deny the ball. And look, he's so tall, he can still get the ball if he really wants it, but really cause him some trouble. So that's if they spread us out. And they want to really take advantage of that space. Now we've got another scenario here. Wemby is the black circle, and this is going to be the Wemby as the screener. Look, Wemby's versatile. He can do everything on the floor. So he is the screener in the situation. I guess possibly this would be De'Aaron Fox, most likely, maybe Vassell. I'm not really sure who this would be. Regardless. So Wemby is the black circle, and we're going to be going over top of the screen. So the man that's defending Fox is going to drift back and keep Wemby from getting that, kind of pick behind the back, through the legs, quick little bounce pass to Wemby on the fake screen, on the quick roll. And then we've got the other guy blitzing. So, and then we've got the guy from the wing. So you can see that we're handing off the screen. The guy that was defending Wemby is now rolling over the top, keeping Fox from driving. Because, though Fox is not as dangerous as Wemby, Fox is pretty good at driving. I mean, he can get fouls quickly. He can get to the rim very fast. So we're going to cut off Fox on that quick run. We're going to drift back on Wemby. And then we're not going to blitz the screen necessarily. We're going to send a guy back to kind of get in Wemby's way. And we're also going to send one of our wing players, which in this scenario is one of our guards. We're also going to send him to get in Wemby's way. So on a lot of these screens, they like to kind of distract the defense. They're in a little bit of a maze, and then we get that quick pass to Wemby, and it's a give and go, and we were a step late because we weren't expecting it. We've seen a few of these with Wemby this year where he passes and then immediately cuts. We've got two people cutting him off. We're just really going to wall him off. And yeah, you stay on Wemby, you stay on the double team, and then we can kind of drift back. And then we've got one of the paint defenders also coming up for a little bit of support to make that pass to that shorter side. Well, I guess it technically be the longer side, but the side with only one offensive player to make that pass even harder. But yeah, once again, not letting Wemby drive, preferably also not letting Fox drive either, but our focus is on Wemby. And there's the last scenario, And honestly, the Spurs don't use him a ton like this. But look, inevitably, if you're a center, you're going to get posted up occasionally. Maybe just on accident. But Wemby in the post, or the high post, right on the elbow. Wemby's the black circle once again. And if he's able to get to that into the paint, look, I think we send 3, 4. I think we send at least one person on him. Obviously, you're not going to leave him open. But I think we need to send either a hard 2, so 2 people that are solely focused on Wemby, and we're just going to leave somebody at the top of the key open. We're not going to leave a cutter. That's a dumb. We're not going to have people vacate the paint and just let somebody get a layup or dunk. But we're going to give them the open 3 or the late contest 3, but a good quality 3. And we're going to either send a hard 2 at Wemby, but in this scenario, we have the one defender on Wemby who's kind of forcing him back towards the rim versus kind of going baseline. So we're keeping him from going baseline. And we've got 2 guys kind of softly coming over. So if Wemby makes a big motion back towards the paint, we've got 2 guys, whether he's going really aggressively towards the hole or whether he's going kind of more horizontally to get to more of a mid-range or kind of a loop around attack. So, yeah, we're all hands on deck. And look, we're giving up in this scenario. We're giving up the top of the key 3, as you can see. We're also giving up the deep 2. And we've got that far side defender that is on the left side of the paint. We've got him also drifting back. So we are not letting, I repeat you, in any of these scenarios, I don't care what happens. Number one, Wemby is not dunking. He's not getting in the paint with the ball. Preferably, he's not even getting in the paint without the ball because of how good of a rebounder he is. But offensively, I'm not really worried about what this team does. I like to shoot threes on a Wemby team, on a team we're playing against Wemby. We're going to shoot threes. You're going to shoot threes. We're going to have better three-point shooters out on the floor. That's just the reality of it. This Spurs team is not, it's not built well around Wemby. If you've got Wemby on your team, ideally you've got a Stephen Curry. And look, not everybody's going to have a Stephen Curry, but you want good 3-and-D players and maybe a ball handler. You want three-point shooter defense, three-point shooter defense, three-point shooter defense, and then a Chris Paul. And I know Chris Paul was there last year, but you want maybe another ball handler because you don't always want Wemby driving up the floor. But this Spurs team, it is constructed to be vulnerable against attacks like this. Attacks where we're doubling, where we're kind of setting a soft triple, and we're forcing Wemby to kick it out to the corners and give bad three-point shooters